My cell rang 72 hours before Turkey Day. Mom sounded like someone had scripted her words. Ashley needs Preston to impress his folks. Having you around might reflect poorly on her. We think you should sit this one out. The phone felt heavy in my palm. A decade of family gatherings, wiped away because I wasn't polished enough for somebody my sister had known 8 weeks. I disconnected without responding. 24 hours later, fists hammered against my door. I remained motionless in my living space after ending the call, gazing at the blank phone display as though it might suddenly illuminate with an apology. Silence weighted the room more than any conversation could have. Beyond my glass, November skies had shifted to that specific gray tone, making everything feel colder than actual temperatures suggest. My living quarters were modest, a single-bedroom unit inside a repurposed factory structure in the city center. Exposed masonry I had decorated with my personal artwork and design creations. Monthly payments reached $850, roughly what my irregular income could sustain, yet this space belonged to me. Each furniture piece, each print displayed, each decision represented my authentic self, not some imagined version others preferred. This distinction separated Ashley from me. She had consistently embodied parental desires. The pattern traced back to elementary years, when she carried home flawless grade reports, while I brought sketches. Her achievements claimed hallway prominence. My creations occupied refrigerator space until grocery lists replaced them. Secondary education amplified these differences. Ashley secured homecoming court positions 3 consecutive years. Student government president, competitive speaking team leader, graduating top of her class with full university scholarship. Our parents organized her completion celebration, filling our entire backyard. 200 attendees appeared. Professional catering, hired entertainment, and a 40-minute slideshow documented her accomplishments. My graduation celebration occurred 14 days afterward. Mom combined it with our cousin's birthday observance. 30 individuals attended. Supermarket sheet dessert and cellular device music. Dad invested most hours discussing fishing expeditions with his sibling. My educational milestone received minimal acknowledgement. Ashley proceeded to business graduate studies. She emerged, holding marketing credentials, and secured employment with a major pharmaceutical corporation downtown. Management position, premium office location, corporate expense privileges. Her social media presence constantly featured these achievements. Business lunch photographs, hotel conference images with enormous chandelier fixtures. Her identity displayed on presentations, projected onto garage door-sized screens. I attended community college for graphic arts education. 3 years, learning computer programs, color science, lettering design, corporate identity creation. Every moment brought satisfaction. Even during broke periods, surviving on inexpensive noodle meals 4 evenings weekly. Post-graduation, freelance work began. Initial year proved challenging. Annual earnings barely reached $15,000. Assembling small business logo projects and magazine layout assignments paying $200 per publication. Persistence continued. Gradually, client rosters expanded. Personal style developed alongside professional reputation. Referral networks generated additional assignments. By year 3, income supported relocating from shared housing into this current location. By year 5, genuine comfort arrived. Bills received payment. Grocery purchases occurred without bank balance verification. Modest savings accumulated. Parental understanding remained absent. Dad, Robert, had invested 40 years in electrical work. Consistent earnings, labor organization advantages, retirement pension awaiting. He comprehended tangible work, visible wiring, problems with definite solutions. My occupation existed on monitors and digital storage. He visited my apartment once, surveyed my technology arrangement, and remarked, "So your workday happens wearing sleepwear?" Mom, Carol, demonstrated slightly better comprehension. Former educator before retirement meant creativity, understanding existed theoretically. Yet steady income, medical coverage, and retirement account contributions also mattered. Every family meal included variations of, "When will legitimate employment begin?" Or "Have corporate applications been considered?" Or, "Ashley's employer maintains constant hiring." Ashley, my senior by 3 years, the exemplary offspring, the individual executing everything correctly, or at least everything appearing correct externally. Reality proved more complex. Years of observation revealed Ashley's perfectionism functioned more like self-imposed strangulation. Nothing could deviate from position. Instagram posts underwent 12 editing cycles. Outfit selections occurred days ahead. Every conversation calculated for maximum impression management. Merely watching exhausted me. Parents celebrated it. They cherished having a daughter generating bragging opportunities at religious services, family functions, among acquaintances. Ashley received another advancement. Ashley travels internationally for professional conferences. Ashley dates an exceptional gentleman employed in financial services. This final claim was recent. 2 months of social media saturation featuring someone named Preston. Carefully framed photographs displayed his arm around her at dining establishments, his hand holding hers at apparent vineyard locations, both formally dressed at some gala event. His features remained consistently obscured or angled away, which seemed peculiar but generated little concern initially. Preston worked finance, according to captions. Successful, driven, perfectly aligned with Ashley's manufactured image, our parents had never encountered him. Thanksgiving represented the grand introduction opportunity. Apparently, my presence created excessive embarrassment for attendants. Genuine anticipation had existed for this Thanksgiving. First time possessing something substantial to share. 3 weeks prior, 3 significant clients arrived simultaneously. Technology startup required complete brand reimagining. Local restaurant chain wanted fresh menu designs and promotional materials. Nonprofit organization hired me for annual report design and fundraising campaign. Combined, these contracts represented income exceeding the previous 6 months total. Financial stability wasn't merely arriving. Actual growth was occurring. Plans included bringing grandmother's pumpkin pastry formula, the recipe she taught before her passing 8 months earlier. Weeks of practice perfecting spice proportions, mastering crust technique, honoring her memory, while possibly demonstrating to family that my choices led somewhere positive. Instead, a phone conversation declared unwelcome status. My presence diminished Ashley. Some 2-month acquaintance held greater importance than her sibling. Pain struck sharp and immediate. Beneath it circled a persistent question. My phone vibrated. Text from Marcus, my closest friend. College bond formed over late-night design assignments and mutual appreciation for terrible action cinema. Currently a photographer, successful enough owning his studio across town. Message stated, "Bro, just spotted Ashley at the shopping center with some dude. Wasn't her boyfriend supposedly traveling for business?" I stared at the text. Preston had posted yesterday about a business journey. Some financial conference, 3 states distant. Supposedly gone all week, returning just for Thanksgiving meal. Who was Ashley with at the mall? I texted response. Certain it was her. 3 dots appeared instantly. Then, absolutely. Same blonde hair, same designer bag she constantly carries. She was laughing, holding shopping bags. Guy was tall, dark-haired. Not the one from her photos. My stomach plummeted. Something felt wrong. Something extending beyond Thanksgiving exclusion. Following morning, alarm sounded at 7:30, and instant regret followed. Sleep had been sparse, mind rotating through possibilities and unanswerable questions. Dragging myself from bed, I stumbled toward my coffee machine, an inexpensive 4-cup unit purchased from a second-hand store 3 years back. Loud and unpredictable, yet it produced coffee strong enough for daily confrontation. Second cup was pouring when pounding commenced. Not knocking, pounding. Aggressive door hammering, signaling either emergency or rage. Clock showed 8:15 Wednesday morning. Stomach muscles contracted. Door opening revealed both parents positioned in the corridor. Dad's complexion was crimson, that specific shade indicating dangerous blood pressure elevation. Mom's eyes appeared swollen from crying, yet her jaw held an expression recognized from childhood. Trouble was imminent. And that trouble usually involved me. How could you? Dad pushed past, without awaiting invitation. How could you inflict this on your sister? During the most critical weekend of her existence, I stood there, door remaining open, completely bewildered. Inflict what? I haven't done anything. Don't fabricate stories, Dan. Mom followed Dad inside, voice trembling. She contacted us at 6 this morning, crying. Preston's family withdrew. His parents refuse attendance now. The entire meal is destroyed, and you're responsible. The call terminated. Ashley stood unmoving, phone still gripped. Someone forwarded them information. Who? Who's been forwarding you materials? I don't know, I admitted. But whoever it is, they've documented everything you've done. And now Mom and Dad understand. Ashley's phone vibrated again. Text message, unknown number. She displayed it to me, hands shaking. Your parents understand everything. The unemployment, the debt, the Preston lies, the emails sent impersonating Dan. They understand your plan, eliminating him from inheritance. They understand all of it. Time to confront what you've done. Ashley's legs appeared to fail. She dropped hard on the curb, engagement ring box falling from her fingers. I'm destroyed. Everything is destroyed. Preston retrieved the ring box, examined it momentarily, then returned it to her. I'm departing. I'm returning to work, and I never want to see you again. If you approach me, if you contact me, if you even consider using those fabricated messages, I'll contact police. I'll reveal everything. Dan has evidence now. So do your parents, apparently. You have nothing for threatening me anymore. He departed without backward glance. Marcus followed, giving me a meaningful look indicating head weight in the car. I stood over my sister, this person I'd grown up alongside, shared a household with, shared parents with. This stranger who'd attempted erasing me from my own family. Why did you hate me so intensely? I asked. She looked upward, tears streaming down her face. I didn't hate you. I hated that you were comfortable being yourself. I hated that you didn't require their approval the way I did. I hated that you were free and I was imprisoned, and somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that eliminating you would liberate me too. But it was never about you. It was about me. It was always about me. You need help, Ashley. Professional help. Not for me. Not for Mom and Dad. For yourself. I know. She wiped her face. I've known for a long time. I just didn't want to admit it. Are you going home? Talking to them? I don't know. I don't know how to face them now that they know the truth. The same way I've been facing them my whole life. Honestly, it's terrifying, but it's better than living in lies. I started walking away, then stopped. For what it's worth, I never wanted you to be miserable. I never wanted to compete with you. I just wanted to be your brother. She nodded, unable to speak. Walking back to Marcus' car, my phone vibrated one more time. Another message from the anonymous sender. This one was brief. Check your email. One more thing you need to see. I opened my email. Video file attachment. Larger than the coffee shop footage. Downloaded, pressed play. Video from same coffee shop, same date, different angle. This showed the man Ashley had been conversing with. As he turned toward camera, I recognized the face. My cousin Jenny. Jenny had been the coffee shop companion. Jenny had been Jay in text messages. Jenny had been assisting Ashley plan everything. Stomach dropped. Jenny, who I'd called for information. Jenny, who'd seemed so concerned. Jenny had been part of it completely. But if Jenny was helping Ashley, then who was sending me all this evidence? Who recorded conversations? Who was exposing everything? Video continued playing. I watched as Jenny and Ashley talked, their conversation matching text messages seen earlier. But something else existed. Someone else. Background of the shot, partially concealed by a plant, another person sat with a laptop. Angle was poor, but as they shifted, I caught a glimpse of their face. Marcus. My closest friend Marcus had been in that coffee shop. Marcus had recorded everything. Marcus had been the anonymous sender throughout. I sat in Marcus' vehicle, phone clutched, video still replaying mentally. My closest friend, the person trusted above everyone, had been there, in that coffee shop, recording my sister's confession. Had forwarded me screenshots, video evidence, anonymous tips. Marcus slid into the driver's seat, started the engine, ready to depart. You were there. My voice emerged flat, in the coffee shop. 3 weeks ago. His hands froze on the steering wheel. Extended seconds of silence filled the car. Then, quietly, yeah, I was. You recorded them. You forwarded me everything. I did. Why didn't you just inform me? Marcus turned to face me, and I saw something in his expression never seen before. Guilt, pain, resolve. Because you wouldn't have believed me. If I'd just approached you and said your sister is planning to eliminate you from your family, you would have defended her. You would have made excuses. You always did. That's not accurate. Dan, it absolutely is accurate. Every time your parents chose her over you. Every time they dismissed your accomplishments, every time they made you feel inferior, you found ways to justify it. You told yourself it didn't matter, that you were fine, that they were just trying to help Ashley shine. You never fought back, because you didn't want to believe your own family could be that cruel. His words struck like physical impacts because they were truthful. I had made excuses. I had swallowed hurt and convinced myself it was acceptable. 3 weeks ago, Marcus continued, I was meeting a client at that coffee shop. Just coincidence. I saw Ashley there with Jenny. I almost went over to greet them. Then I heard them talking, loud enough that I could hear from 2 tables away. They weren't even trying to be discreet. Ashley was laying out her entire plan, how she was going to frame you, manipulate your parents, eliminate you from everything. Jenny was helping her strategize, so you recorded them. I pulled out my laptop, opened the camera application, and started recording. Got almost 30 minutes of footage. Then, I followed up. I've spent the past 3 weeks documenting everything Ashley's done. The false social media accounts for Preston. Her visits to your parents where she planted doubts about you. The emails she sent from a spoofed address. All of it. You've been investigating my sister for 3 weeks and didn't inform me? I was building a case, making sure I had enough evidence that when truth emerged, no one could deny it. Ashley's intelligent. She covers tracks. If I'd approached you with just part of the story, she would have found ways to spin it to make herself the victim. I needed everything. I stared through the windshield at Ashley, still sitting on the curb, appearing broken. You forwarded evidence to my parents too. This morning, right before they appeared at your apartment, I figured if they were going to accuse you, they needed to see what Ashley had actually done. Didn't expect them to ignore it and blame you anyway, but that's on them. And you didn't inform me you were doing any of this. Would you have wanted me to? Honestly? Would you have wanted to know your closest friend was surveilling your sister, collecting evidence of her betrayal, planning to blow up your family? I didn't have an answer for that. Marcus' voice softened. I've watched you carry the weight of being the disappointment for years. Watched you minimize your own success because it didn't look like what your parents wanted. Watched you accept being treated as inferior because you didn't want to create problems. And I wanted to help you, but I knew you'd never help yourself. You'd never confront them. You'd just keep accepting it. So you decided to force the issue. I decided to provide you with truth. What you did with it was always going to be your choice. But you deserved to know what was really happening. Not just Ashley's surface-level favoritism, but the active campaign to erase you from your own family. My phone vibrated. Text from Dad. Come home. We need to talk to you. Both of you. You and Ashley. Now. I showed it to Marcus. He nodded. Want me to drive you? No. I need to do this alone. Dan. He waited until I looked at him. I'm sorry I didn't inform you. I know it feels like betrayal, but I'm not sorry I did it. You needed to know, and your family needed to face what they'd enabled. I exited the car, walked back to where Ashley still sat. Mom and Dad want us both home. Now. She looked upward, eyes red and swollen. I can't face them. You don't have a choice. Neither of us do. This ends today, one way or another. We drove separately to our parents' house. A 20-minute trip through familiar streets feeling completely foreign now. Everything looked the same, but nothing was the same. The world had shifted, and I wasn't sure where I stood in it anymore. Dad's truck occupied the driveway, Mom's sedan beside it. I parked streetside, watched Ashley pull up behind me. We walked to the front entrance together, not speaking, 2 siblings never feeling more like strangers. Mom opened the door before we could knock. Her face was a mess of emotions I couldn't interpret. Come in. Both of you. Living room. The house smelled like coffee and something baking. Normal Thursday afternoon scents clashing with tension thick enough to suffocate. Dad sat in his recliner, laptop open on his lap. He didn't look upward when we entered. Mom gestured to the couch. Sit. We sat. Ashley on one end, me on the other. A canyon of space between us. Dad finally looked upward. His eyes were red. Had been crying. In 40 years, he'd never witnessed my father cry. Someone forwarded us files this morning. Videos, screenshots, recordings. A lot of information about what's been happening in this family. Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you. And let's begin our creative audio journey together. Mom came and knelt before me. Dan, I am so sorry. We failed you. Not just this week, but for years. We let our pride in Ashley's accomplishments blind us to her struggles. And we let our disappointment in your different path blind us to your actual success. We made you feel like you weren't enough when the truth is we weren't enough. We weren't the parents you deserved. Carol. Dad's voice was rough. Let me. He stood, walked over, sat down heavily on the coffee table before me. This close, I could see every line in his face, every year of his 63 years. Son, I told you yesterday that you were no son of mine if you'd sabotaged your sister. But the truth is, I stopped being a father to you long before that. I stopped seeing you. Your accomplishments, your hard work, your success on your own terms. I compared you to Ashley instead of appreciating you for who you are. I'm not successful like her, though. The words emerged before I could stop them. I don't have a corporate position or a prestigious title. You have 3 major clients and a growing business you built from nothing, Dad said. You have a skill and passion that people compensate you for. You have integrity and honesty and kindness. That's success. That's real success. And I was too stubborn and too blind to see it. Ashley's voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry. Dan, I'm so sorry. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. Saw past the perfect hair and designer clothes to the broken person underneath. Why did you do it, Ashley? Really? Because I thought if I was perfect enough, if I achieved enough, if I looked successful enough, it'd finally feel like I was enough, but it was never enough. Every achievement just meant I had to achieve more. Every success meant higher expectations. And somewhere in all of that, I lost myself. I became this hollow thing, pretending to be a person. And when it all started falling apart, when I couldn't maintain the facade anymore, I panicked. I thought if I could just eliminate the comparison, if I was the only child, I wouldn't have to be perfect anymore. I could just be. But that's not how it works, I said. Eliminating me wouldn't have freed you. It would have just made the prison smaller. I know that now. I've known it for a while, I think. I just couldn't admit it. Couldn't face what it'd become. She looked at our parents. I need help. Real help. Therapy. Maybe inpatient treatment. I can't keep living like this. Mom nodded. Well, help you get whatever help you need. But Ashley, there have to be consequences. You can't just say sorry and have everything go back to normal. I know. I don't expect normal. I don't even know what normal is anymore. Dad turned to me. Dan, what do you need from us? What can we do to begin making this right? What did I need? I'd spent so many years not needing anything from them, not expecting anything, that I didn't know how to answer. I need time. I need to process all of this. I need to figure out if I can trust you again. That's fair, Mom said. Well, give you whatever time you need. But Dan, we want you to know, you're always welcome here. Thanksgiving, Christmas, every Sunday dinner, whenever. You're our son. You're part of this family. And we're sorry we ever made you feel otherwise. My phone vibrated. Another text from Marcus. You okay? Need backup? I typed response. Okay. Talk later. Ashley stood upward. I should depart. I need to start figuring out how to fix the mess I've made. Starting with apologizing to Preston, even though I doubt he'll accept it. Ashley. I stopped her as she headed for the door. Get help. Real help. Not for Mom and Dad. Not for me. For yourself. You deserve to be more than the perfect image you created. She nodded, unable to speak, and left. The house felt different, with just the 3 of us. Smaller. More honest. More fragile. Did you make pumpkin pie? Dad asked suddenly. For Thanksgiving? I did. It's at my apartment. Would you bring it tomorrow? For dinner? I looked at both of them. My parents. Flawed. Human. Trying. Is Thanksgiving still happening? If you'll come, Mom said. Please, let us start making this right. I'll think about it. That's all we can ask. I left them there, drove back to my apartment through afternoon traffic. My phone kept vibrating. Texts from Jenny. Apologizing. Explaining. Begging for forgiveness. I didn't respond. Texts from Marcus, checking in. Those I answered. Back in my apartment, I sat on my couch and finally let myself feel everything. The hurt, the anger, the betrayal, the confusion, but also relief. The truth was exposed. The lies were revealed. I didn't have to wonder anymore why I always felt like the outsider in my own family. And maybe, just maybe, we could build something real from the wreckage. Thursday's remainder passed in a blur of phone calls and text messages I mostly disregarded. Jenny attempted calling 14 times, each effort redirecting to voicemail. She finally forwarded a lengthy text, explaining that she'd gotten caught up in Ashley's manipulation, that she regretted everything, that she'd been the one to first alert Marcus about what was occurring. She claimed she'd had second thoughts and started trying to help expose Ashley instead of assisting her scheme. I didn't know if I believed that or not. Trust felt like a foreign language. I'd forgotten how to speak. Marcus arrived around 7 with Chinese takeout and 2 six-packs of beer. We consumed food on my couch, watching a terrible action film neither of us concentrated on. Around midnight, he departed. I attempted sleep but couldn't. My mind kept replaying every conversation, every revelation, every moment where my world had cracked and reformed into something different. Friday morning arrived cold and overcast. Thanksgiving morning, I woke at 6, prepared coffee, stared at the pumpkin pie resting on my counter. I'd prepared it 4 days ago, perfectly executed, the crust golden and flaky, the spice ratio exactly like Grandma's formula. It seemed absurd now, this pie, this tradition, this symbol of a family that had fractured so completely. My phone rang. Mom! I almost didn't answer. Hello? Dan, I know you said you needed time, but it's Thanksgiving morning, and I need to know if you're coming. Not because I'm pressuring you, just so I know how many places to set. I looked at the pie again. What time is dinner? 3 o'clock? Like always. I'll be there. Her exhale was audible. Thank you. Ashley won't be coming. She checked herself into a counseling facility last night. They have a 30-day inpatient program. She's committed to staying through the whole thing. That's good. That's what she needs. Dan, I know this is hard, but thank you for giving us a chance. After we disconnected, I showered, dressed in jeans and a sweater, carefully boxed up the pie. I was almost through the door when someone knocked. Through the peephole, I saw Jenny. I almost didn't open it, almost pretended I wasn't home. But I'd spent too many years avoiding confrontation. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Jenny looked terrible. Her eyes were swollen, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweatpants and an old jacket. Please, let me explain. You assisted Ashley plan to eliminate me from the family. What's to explain? It wasn't like that. Not initially. Her words tumbled out rapidly. Ashley approached me 6 weeks ago. She was crying, said she'd lost her employment, that she was drowning in debt. She needed help. She's my cousin, my friend. Of course I wanted to help. So you helped her frame me? No. I helped her figure out how to tell your parents the truth. We spent hours talking about how she could come clean, how she could ask for help. She kept saying she would, that she was just waiting for the right time. Then she started talking about you. What about me? How you'd always had it easier, because you didn't have to be perfect. How your parents let you do whatever you wanted while she carried all the pressure. At first, I agreed with her. I saw how differently they treated you both. But then she started getting obsessive about it. Started saying if you weren't in the picture, she wouldn't have to compete anymore. That's when I got scared. Jenny pulled out her phone, showed me her text messages with Ashley from 4 weeks ago. Messages where Jenny pushed back, where she told Ashley the plan was wrong, where she begged her to get help instead. She threatened me too, Jenny said quietly. She knew things about me. Private things. She said if I didn't help her, she'd expose them. So I pretended to go along with it while I figured out what to do. That's when I reached out to Marcus. You told Marcus what Ashley was planning? I told him Ashley was spiraling and that you were in danger of getting hurt. He did the rest. The recordings, the evidence gathering, all of it. I just pointed him in the right direction. Tears started down her face. I'm so sorry I didn't come to you directly. I thought if I did, Ashley would follow through on her threats. I thought working behind the scenes was safer. What did she threaten you with? Jenny's voice dropped to almost a whisper. 2 years ago, I had a problem with prescription medication, pain pills after a surgery. It got out of hand. I got help, got clean, got my nursing license back. But if the hospital found out I'd relapsed, or if anyone reported me, I could lose everything. Ashley knew about it. She said she'd make it look like I was using again if I didn't help her. I'd known Jenny had taken time off from nursing 2 years ago, but hadn't known why. She blackmailed you the same way she blackmailed Preston. Yes, and am not proud that I didn't stand up to her. I should have gone to you, to your parents, to someone. Instead, I played along and told myself I was doing damage control, but I was just scared. She wiped her eyes. Marcus saved us both. He built the case I didn't have the courage to build. I thought about Marcus, quietly gathering evidence, protecting me without me even knowing I needed protection. Does Ashley know you talked to Marcus? She does now. She sent me a message last night from the facility. Just one line. I know what you did. I don't know if she's angry or relieved. Maybe both. What were the threats? The things she knew about you? She had photos of pill bottles in my apartment. Old ones. Expired. From before I got help. But she could have made them look current. She also had messages between me and a doctor I dated. Nothing inappropriate, but taken out of context. They could have looked like I was trying to get prescriptions through him. Jenny's hands shook. I've worked so hard to rebuild my life. The thought of losing it all terrified me. I understood fear. I'd lived with different kinds of it my whole life. You should have told me anyway. I know. And am sorry. Am so sorry. I looked at my cousin. This person I'd known since we were kids, who'd been at every family gathering, every holiday, every milestone. Shed made a bad choice out of fear, but Shed also tried to fix it. Are you going to your parents for Thanksgiving? No. They know what happened. They're disappointed. I think I need some time away from the family. Me too. But I'm going anyway. Mom and Dad asked me to come, and I think I need to see if we can salvage anything. I picked up the pie carrier. For what it's worth, I believe you were scared, and I believe you tried to help in the end. But trust takes time to rebuild. I understand. I'll work on earning it back. She departed. I locked the door, grabbed my keys, and headed to my vehicle. The drive to my parents' house took 23 minutes. I counted every one, using the time to prepare myself for whatever was coming. Dad's truck was the only vehicle in the driveway. I parked street side out of habit and walked up the path. I'd walked 1,000 times. The front door opened before I reached it. Mom stood there, wearing her apron, the one with the turkey on it that Shed had since I was a kid. You came. I said I would. She pulled me into an embrace. I allowed it, even though part of me wanted to remain rigid and distant. She smelled like the same perfume Shed worn for 20 years. Some things hadn't changed. Inside, the house looked exactly as it always did on Thanksgiving. The table arranged with Grandma's quality china. The centerpiece constructed of autumn leaves and small pumpkins. The aroma of turkey and stuffing filling every room, but it was different because there were only 3 place settings instead of the usual 5 or 6. Dad emerged from the kitchen, saw me, stopped. For an extended moment, we just looked at each other. Then he walked over and extended his hand. Thank you for coming, son. I shook it. His grip was firm, calloused from years of work. You're welcome. I was just going to carve the turkey. Want to assist? It was an olive branch. Dad never permitted anyone assist with the turkey. It was his Thanksgiving ritual, performed alone in the kitchen with surgical precision. Sure. In the kitchen, he handed me the carving knife. You do it. I'll watch. Dad, it's your thing. It's just a turkey, Dan. And I'd like to see you do it. Show me what your grandmother taught you. Grandma had taught both of us to carve. She'd been a firm believer that everyone should understand their way around a kitchen. I picked up the knife, located the joint, made the initial cut. The meat separated perfectly. Good, Dad said. Real good. We worked in silence, carving, arranging the meat on platters. It felt almost normal. Almost. Your mother and I have been talking, Dad said as I finished the final cuts. About numerous things. About how we raised you and Ashley. About the different expectations we placed on you both. About how we failed you both, in different ways. Dad, you don't have to. I do, actually. I need to say this. He set down the serving fork he'd been holding. I grew up impoverished, Dan. Really impoverished. My father worked construction when he could locate work. We consumed government cheese and food bank donations. I wore clothes from church donation bins. I swore when I had children, they'd never struggle like that. They'd have opportunities I didn't have. I'd heard pieces of this story before, but never narrated like this. When Ashley was born, he continued, I decided she was going to be successful. College educated, professional career, financial security. I pushed her toward that from the time she could walk. Every decision was about building toward that future. And when you came along, I thought it'd do the same thing. But you were different. You didn't respond to pushing. You did your own thing. Drew pictures, told stories, built things out of cardboard and adhesive tape. He smiled slightly. I remember when you were 7, you constructed an entire city out of cereal boxes. Spent a week on it. Had roads and buildings and even tiny people made from pipe cleaners. It was creative and impressive, and completely useless for the future I'd planned for you. I remember that city, I said. You made me discard it to clean my room. Yeah, I did. His voice roughened. I discarded numerous of your things over the years. Your drawings, your projects, your dreams, because they didn't fit the plan. They didn't resemble success to me, and instead of seeing that you were finding your own path, I saw you as failing to meet expectations. You made me feel like I was disappointing you my entire life. You weren't disappointing me. I was disappointing you. And myself. I took a beautiful, creative, passionate child and made him feel like he wasn't enough because he wasn't Ashley. That's not your failure. That's mine. Mom called from the dining room. Food's getting cold. We carried the platters out. The table looked strange with just 3 settings, all the empty space making the absence feel heavier. But we sat down, passed dishes, filled plates. For several minutes, we just consumed in silence. Then Dad cleared his throat. Dan, your mother and I want you to know that we've changed the will. Everything's being split equally between you and Ashley. And we've named you co-executors. Both of you will have equal say in any decisions. You don't have to do that. Yes, we do. We allowed Ashley think she had to compete for our love and our resources. We allowed you think you weren't worth investing in. Both were wrong. You're both our children. You both deserve equal treatment, Mom added. And we want to be more involved in your life. Really involved. We want to see your work, understand your business, celebrate your successes, if you'll allow us. I don't know if I can trust that yet, I admitted. You've been distant for so long. Then, well, prove it over time, Dad said. However long it requires. We consumed more. The turkey was excellent, the stuffing perfect, the cranberry sauce, the same canned variety Wed always had because that's what Grandma preferred. Normal things. But the conversation wasn't normal, it was honest. How's your business really doing? Mom asked. We've never really asked properly. So I told them. About the clients, the projects, the growth over the past year. About the challenges and the victories. About what I loved about the work and what frustrated me. They listened, really listened, asking questions that showed they were trying to understand. That sounds successful, Dad said when I finished. Sounds like you've built something substantial. It doesn't resemble Ashley's career did. Ashley's career was a facade. Yours is authentic. There's no comparison. After dinner, I brought out the pie. Grandma's formula. I've been practicing. Mom's eyes welled up. She'd be proud of you, Dan. For so many reasons. She'd be proud of both of us, I said. And probably disappointed in all of us, too. She didn't tolerate dysfunction well. Dad laughed. No, she didn't. Your grandmother would have shut this whole mess down years ago if she'd seen it coming. We consumed pie. Talked more. About Ashley's treatment. About how we'd all move forward. About what Thanksgiving might resemble next year. It wasn't perfect. Too much had happened for anything to be perfect. But it was honest. And maybe honesty was more valuable than perfection anyway. As I was departing, Dad walked me to my vehicle. Your friend Marcus, Hez, the one who forwarded us all the evidence, isn't he? Yeah, he was. Thank him for us. He did what we should have done. He saw what was happening and took action. Hez a quality friend. The finest. I agreed. Dan, Dad placed his hand on my shoulder. I know we've got a long way to go, but I want you to know I'm proud of you. Of who you've become despite us not supporting you the way we should have. You're a quality man. An honest man. That's worth more than any title or salary. Words I'd wanted to hear my whole life. They didn't fix everything, but they mattered. Thanks, Dad. I drove home as the sun set, casting extended shadows across the city. My phone vibrated with a text from Marcus. How'd it go? Better than expected. Meet me tomorrow? I owe you a thank you. You don't owe me anything. But yeah, let's meet. Back at my apartment, I sat on my couch and thought about everything that had occurred over the past 4 days. I'd been uninvited from Thanksgiving, accused of sabotage, confronted with my sister's betrayal, and forced to face the dysfunction in my family that I'd been ignoring for years. But I'd also stood up for myself. I'd demanded truth. I'd refused to accept being erased. And in doing that, I'd started to rebuild something with my parents. Something honest. My phone vibrated one more time. Message from an unknown number. But I knew who it was. Dan. This is Ashley. I wanted you to know I'm doing okay. The facility is helping. I'm starting to see how sick I got. How twisted my thinking became. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I want you to know I'm working on becoming someone worth forgiving. Someone who's honest and authentic instead of perfect and false. Thank you for not giving up on me completely. I don't deserve your grace, but am grateful for it anyway. I saved the message, but didn't respond. Maybe I would, eventually. Maybe not. But either way, I was finished carrying the weight of other people's expectations. I was finished apologizing for being myself. For the first time in years, maybe in my entire existence, I felt liberated. Weeks following Thanksgiving moved in strange rhythms. Some days felt almost normal, like the foundation of my world had stabilized. Other days, the weight of everything that had occurred pressed down so heavily I could barely rise from bed. Marcus checked in daily, sometimes with texts, sometimes appearing at my door with coffee and bagels. He never apologized again for the surveillance, the secret investigation, the way Head orchestrated truth emerging. He didn't need to. I understood why Head done it, even if part of me still felt uneasy about the methods. You would have protected her, he said one Saturday morning as we sat in my apartment. Even when she was destroying you, you would have found ways to excuse it. Someone had to force the issue. He was correct. I knew he was correct. My relationship with my parents evolved slowly. Mom called every few days, asking about my work, my life, never pushing excessively, but maintaining steady presence. Dad texted occasionally, usually brief messages. Thinking of you or hope work is progressing well. They were trying. I could feel the effort in every interaction. 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, they came to my apartment. It was the first time Dad had visited in over 2 years. The first time Mom had been there in maybe 6 months. They looked around at my artwork, my design arrangement, the life I'd built. Dad stood before one of my pieces, a digital illustration I'd created for a tech company's marketing campaign. This is really excellent, he said. Like, professional quality excellent. It is professional, I reminded him gently. This is my profession. Correct. I just mean, he struggled for words. I never really looked before. I never really saw what you were capable of. Mom asked questions about my process, my clients, my rates. When I told her what I charged for a branding package, her eyes widened. That's more than I made in 2 months of teaching. It took me years to arrive at this point. Years of building reputation and skills. And we missed all of it, she said quietly. We were so focused on what Ashley was doing that we never paid attention to what you were accomplishing. They stayed for 2 hours. Before departing, Dad handed me an envelope. Early Christmas present. Open it later. After they departed, I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a note. For business expenses, equipment, whatever you need. Not charity. Investment in someone we believe in. Should have done this years ago. Love, Mom and Dad. I called them. This is excessive. It's not enough, Mom said. But it's a start. Ashley remained in the facility for the complete 30 days, then transitioned to an outpatient program. She forwarded occasional emails, updating me on her progress, apologizing again for things she'd done. I read them but rarely responded. Forgiveness wasn't something I could force. It would arrive in its own time or it wouldn't. Jenny attempted to rebuild our relationship through small gestures. She forwarded articles she thought I'd find interesting, humor that made her think of me, invitations to coffee that I usually declined. Eventually, I accepted one. We met at a neutral location, a cafe neither of us had history with. I don't know how to repair what I broke, she said. Maybe you don't repair it. Maybe we just construct something new. Can we do that? I don't know, but we can attempt. December arrived with early snow and holiday decorations appearing overnight. My business continued growing. 2 of the clients from November referred me to others. By mid-December, I had more work than I could handle alone, and started considering hiring a part-time assistant. Success. Authentic success. Not the kind requiring performance or pretense. Christmas posed a question I wasn't ready to answer. Did I want to spend it with my family? Mom called to ask, her voice tentative. Ashley will be there, she said. Her program allows supervised family visits now. But if you're not ready, we understand. We can do something separate with you if you prefer. I thought about it for 3 days. Finally, I called back. I'll come. For several hours. But am not promising anything beyond that. That's more than fair. Christmas Day arrived cold and bright. I drove to my parents' house with a trunk filled with carefully wrapped presents and a chest filled with anxiety. Ashley's vehicle was already there when I arrived, a detail that almost made me turn around and depart, but Id committed to attempting. Inside, the house smelled like ham and cinnamon rolls, comfort aromas clashing with my discomfort. Ashley stood in the kitchen, assisting Mom with something. She looked different. Thinner, her hair pulled back simply, wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her usual designer outfits. When she saw me, she froze. Hi, she said. Hi. We stood there, siblings and strangers, while Mom and Dad watched anxiously. Maybe you two want to talk? Dad suggested. Living room? Ashley and I moved to the living room like convicted criminals approaching sentencing. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, that familiar canyon of space between us. You look different, I finally said. I am different. Or attempting to be. She twisted her hands together. Therapy is brutal. They make you look at everything you've done, every choice you made, every person you hurt. I'm not proud of what I see. That's favorable, I guess. Not being proud means you're seeing clearly. Dan, I need you to know something. The facility helped me understand why I did what I did. The perfectionism, the lies, the manipulation. It all came from this desperate need for validation I've had since I was a child. But understanding why doesn't excuse it. I hurt you. I attempted to erase you from your own family. That's unforgivable. Maybe, I agreed. But people do forgive unforgivable things sometimes. Do you forgive me? I thought about it honestly. Not yet. But I'm working toward it. That's the optimal I can offer right now. That's more than I deserve. She wiped her eyes. I obtained employment, by the way. Nothing glamorous. I'm working retail at a department store. Folding clothes, assisting customers, making minimum wage plus commission. It's humbling, but it's honest. I appear, I do the work, I go home. No pretense. How does that feel? Terrifying. And also liberating. I don't have to perform anymore. I can just be Ashley, whoever that is. She looked at me directly for the first time. You were always brave enough to just be yourself. I envied that. I didn't feel brave. I felt like a disappointment. You were never a disappointment. You were just authentic in a family that preferred facades. We talked for another hour, not about forgiveness or reconciliation, just about our lives, our separate experiences, the different prisons Wed each lived in. It wasn't healing. Not yet, but it was honest. And honest was a start. Dinner was strange, but not terrible. The four of us sitting around the table, consuming ham and sweet potatoes, making small conversation about weather and work and safe topics. Occasionally, Wed brush against something authentic, something that mattered, and the conversation would deepen briefly before someone steered it back to safety. After dinner, Dad pulled out old photo albums. Located these in the attic last week. Thought we could look through them together. Pictures of us as children, Ashley and me constructing sandcastles at the beach, dressed up for Halloween, opening Christmas presents. In every photo, we looked happy. Before competition, before pressure, before we learned to play our assigned roles. Look at this one, Mom said, pointing to a picture of me at maybe 6 years old, covered in paint, grinning. You'd spent the whole day painting the garage. Got more paint on yourself than on the walls. I remember that, I said. Dad was so angry. I wasn't angry about the paint, Dad corrected. I was angry because I had to repaint it properly. But looking back, you were happy. Creating something made you happy. I should have encouraged that instead of seeing it as a mess to clean up. More photos. More memories. More glimpses of the family we could have been if we'd been honest instead of performative. As the afternoon faded to evening, I prepared to depart. Thank you for coming, Mom said at the door. It meant everything to us. Thanks for inviting me. For authentic this time. Ashley walked me to my vehicle. Dan, wait. I have something for you. She pulled a small box from her pocket. It's not a Christmas present, it's a return. Open it. Inside was Grandma's ring, a simple gold band with a small diamond. Grandma left this to you in her will, Ashley said. But I told Mom and Dad you wouldn't want it, that I should have it instead. I've been wearing it for 8 months. But it was never mine. I'm sorry. I took the ring, felt the weight of it. Why did you want it so intensely? Because it was proof I was the favorite, the chosen one, the granddaughter she loved most. Ashley's voice cracked. But the truth is, she loved us the same. I just needed it to be unequal, so I could win. I slid the ring onto my pinky finger, the only one it fit. Thank you for returning it. Thank you for not giving up on me. Driving home through snowy streets, I thought about family, about forgiveness, about the extensive road toward healing. Nothing was repaired. Trust would require years to rebuild. Relationships would need constant work. But for the first time, we were all being honest about the dysfunction instead of pretending it didn't exist. That was progress. January brought new beginnings. I hired an assistant, a recent design school graduate named Tyler, who reminded me of myself at that age. Talented, hungry, eager to learn. Business grew steadily. Marcus and I started a tradition of Sunday dinners at his place, cooking together, watching movies, maintaining the friendship that had saved me. Ashley continued therapy and her retail position. We texted occasionally, brief messages about small things. She forwarded me a photo of a window display shed designed at work. First creative project in months. Feels favorable. I responded with a thumbs up. Small steps. My parents visited my apartment monthly now. Always calling first. Always respectful of boundaries. Dad started requesting my advice about design projects for his retired electrician friends who were starting small businesses. Mom commissioned a logo for her book club. They were investing in my life in ways they never had before. By February, enough time had passed that I could look back on that phone call, that uninvitation from Thanksgiving, with something almost like gratitude. It had forced truth into the open. It had shattered the facade we'd all been maintaining. It had given us a chance to construct something authentic. One Saturday evening, I sat at my desk, working on a project when my phone rang. Ashley. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Dan, do you have a minute? Sure. What's happening? I'm planning to host Thanksgiving this year, at my new apartment. It's smaller than Mom and Dad's place, nothing fancy. But I want to start a new tradition. Something honest. And I'm inviting you, but only if you're comfortable coming. No pressure either way. Thanksgiving's 9 months away. I know, but my therapist says I need to plan for future healing, not just address past damage. So, I'm planning. Will you at least think about it? I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. Also, Dan, thank you. For what? For being the one who stayed authentic when I was being false. For showing me it was possible to be yourself even when everyone wanted you to be something else. I'm attempting to learn that now. After we disconnected, I looked around my apartment, at the artwork on the walls, the projects on my desk, the life I'd constructed on my own terms. For years, it felt like the disappointment, the one who didn't measure up, but it'd been measuring against the wrong standard. Success wasn't about corner offices or impressive titles or maintaining perfect images. Success was constructing a life that felt authentic, work that felt meaningful, relationships based on truth instead of performance. By that measure, it'd been successful all along. I just hadn't recognized it because I was too busy looking at what I lacked instead of what I possessed. That Thanksgiving phone call, as painful as it had given me something valuable. The freedom to stop performing. The permission to be exactly who I was. The understanding that being uninvited from the table sometimes means you get to construct your own. And my table, the one I was constructing now, had room for everyone who valued honesty over image, substance over style, authentic connection over perfect performance. As spring arrived and the world thawed, I felt something thawing in me too. The anger, the hurt, the years of accumulated pain. They didn't disappear. They'd probably never fully disappear, but they stopped defining me. I was more than the family scapegoat, more than the disappointment, more than the one who didn't fit. I was Dan, creative professional, loyal friend, imperfect son and brother who was learning to establish boundaries and demand respect. Someone who'd discovered that the hardest battles weren't fought with others but with your own need for approval from people who couldn't see your value. The lesson I learned, the one I carried forward into every day. Sometimes, being eliminated from the guest list is the beginning of finding your authentic family. Not the one you're born into, though that can heal with work, but the family you choose, the people who see you clearly and love you anyway, the friends who protect you, even when you don't know you need protecting, the parents who finally learn to appreciate what they possess instead of mourning what they expected, and yourself, learning to be family to yourself, to value your own approval more than anyone else's, to construct a life that makes sense to you, even if it appears strange from the outside. That's authentic success. That's authentic freedom. That's home. By October, preparations for Ashley's Thanksgiving were underway. Shed rented a modest two-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood far from her previous luxury complex. Affordable, practical, honest. She invited only immediate family. Mom, Dad, me, and Marcus, who'd become honorary family through everything that happened. The gathering was small, intimate. Unlike previous years of performative dining, Ashley prepared most of the meal herself, following recipes from cooking websites, accepting help when needed, instead of pretending perfection. The turkey was slightly dry, the mashed potatoes slightly lumpy, and everything tasted better for its imperfection. We sat around her small dining table, passing dishes, sharing stories, laughing at mistakes instead of hiding them. Dad told embarrassing stories from his youth. Mom admitted Shed never actually enjoyed hosting massive holiday gatherings. Ashley talked about her therapy progress without shame. I shared my business challenges alongside successes. Marcus raised his glass for a toast. To honesty. To family that chooses to heal. To second chances and new traditions. We raised our glasses, clinked them together, drank to possibilities instead of expectations. After dinner, as we cleaned dishes together, Ashley pulled me aside. Thank you for coming, for giving me another opportunity, for not writing me off permanently. You're my sister. That doesn't disappear, even when things get broken. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness yet. Maybe I never will fully, but am grateful for your willingness to try. We're all trying, I said. That's the important part. Later that evening, driving home through autumn darkness, I reflected on the journey from that devastating phone call to this imperfect but honest gathering. The path had been painful, exposing wounds it ignored for years. But exposure allowed healing. Truth created space for authentic connection. My phone vibrated. Text from Dad. Thank you for being patient with us. We're learning. Love you, son. Simple words, powerful words. Words it needed my entire existence. I texted back. Love you too. Life didn't transform into perfect harmony. Ashley still struggled with perfectionism impulses. My parents still occasionally fell into old comparison patterns. Jenny and I rebuilt trust slowly, carefully, but we were all committed to honesty, to calling out dysfunction when it appeared, to choosing authentic connection over comfortable pretense. My business continued thriving. Tyler proved talented and reliable, eventually becoming a full partner. We expanded services, hired additional staff, moved into proper office space. Success built on genuine skill and honest relationships, not performance and pretense. Marcus remained my closest friend, the person who saw danger before I did and acted to protect me. Our Sunday dinners continued, expanding to include others, creating chosen family alongside biological family. Years passed. Ashley eventually returned to marketing, but in a smaller company with healthier culture. She dated occasionally, honestly, never pretending someone was something they weren't. She attended therapy weekly, worked on self-acceptance daily. Jenny rebuilt her nursing career, eventually becoming a charge nurse at a different hospital. She attended recovery meetings, maintained boundaries, prioritized authentic wellness over image management. Mom and Dad retired fully, traveled modestly, invested time in genuine relationships instead of impressive appearances. They attended my business events, displayed my design work proudly, told people about their son, the creative professional, with honest pride. 5 years after that devastating phone call, I hosted Thanksgiving at my larger apartment, the one I'd purchased after business success stabilized. 15 people gathered. Parents, sister, Marcus, Tyler and his wife, Jenny and her partner, several close friends who'd become family. The meal was chaotic, loud, imperfect, and beautiful. Multiple conversations happening simultaneously. Laughter interrupting stories. Children running around while adults attempted serious discussions. Dishes passing in multiple directions. This was family. Not the performative version I'd grown up with, but the authentic version WED, built through honesty, struggle, forgiveness, and commitment. As everyone gathered for group photographs before dessert, I looked around at faces I loved, lives intertwined with mine through choice rather than just biology. This was my table. These were my people. This was home. The lesson remained constant. Being uninvited from the table sometimes gives you the freedom to build a better one. Being rejected for who you are sometimes leads you to people who celebrate you. Being the disappointment sometimes means you're the only one being honest. And honesty, painful as it can be initially, creates space for genuine love to grow. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced being treated as less than in your own family? Have you struggled with choosing authenticity over meeting impossible expectations? How did you handle finding your own path when others wanted you to follow theirs? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to hear more real stories about family dynamics, personal growth, and finding your authentic self. And if you know someone who's struggling with family expectations or feeling like they're not enough just as they are, please share this with them. Sometimes knowing you're not alone in the struggle makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope your days are filled with honest connections, authentic relationships, and the courage to be exactly who you are. You're enough, just as you are, right now. Never forget that.